Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for January 22nd. January 22nd is the 22nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 343 days remaining to the end of the year, except for leap years when there's 344 days remaining to the end of the year. You've heard that rule, I before E except after C, or the sound of long A as in neighbor or way. Well, for the next few days, we're going to take a look at some other exceptions to that rule, cases in which words violate the I before E rule. In truth, it seems that there are more words that break the rule than ones that follow it, and we're going to start with the word Reveille, which is a noun that means a signal to wake up in the morning using a bugle, trumpet, etc. at military installations, any signal to get out of bed, or the hour at which a wake-up signal is sounded. The etymology of this word is long and interesting and arrives to us directly from the French, and before that from Latin, and before that from an Indo-European root weg, which means to be strong or lively, which also gave us vegetable, vigor, velocity, watch, vigilante, vedette, veget, or vegetation. There's a few words I don't know. Earliest documented use of the word reveille is 1633. And I want to remind you that links to my research are included in the show notes. I'll put a link directly to the page talking about this word if you want to see more information about its arrival to us. Also want to remind you to go ahead and click that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And with that, we're going to move on to 1840, when the first British colonists arrived in New Zealand on this day in 1840. On January 22nd of 1901, the grandmother of Europe, Queen Victoria, died at the age of 81, having reigned as queen for 63 years. On January 22 of 1973, Lyndon Baines Johnson, former president of the United States, died in Johnson City, Texas, at the age of 64. Also on January 22, 1973, the Supreme Court decided on a case known as Roe-v-Wade. You may have heard about that. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I will say that I didn't know this, but apparently abortion had only become a serious criminal offense in the period between 1860 and 1880, with the establishment of the Physicians' Trade Organization, the American Medical Association, also known as AMA. Apparently, doctors saw abortion practitioners as unwanted competition and set about to eliminate that competition. Even so, abortion laws were not heavily enforced until the 1930s. That said, in Roe v. Wade, the court ruled in a 7-2 decision that a woman's right to choose was protected by privacy rights guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Now, sometime when you have a few hours, take a look at that 14th Amendment. Wikipedia's article on it is about a 3-mile long blah, blah, blah interpretation of it. I did, however, find the text of the 14th Amendment, and I've linked it below for you, so you can check that out. You're welcome. By the way, I did not find the word privacy mentioned within the amendment, so that must be relative to a later interpretation. Anyway, check it out for yourself. Gather your own information, form your own thoughts. And we'll move on to January 22nd, 1980, when Andrei Sakharov, the Soviet physicist who actually helped build the USSR's first hydrogen bomb, was arrested for criticizing Soviet military intervention in Afghanistan. Once he helped build that first hydrogen bomb, he began to not feel good about it. And I think he wrote some papers, he got fired. And so there he was out there in the population where he could be critical. And they didn't like that. They arrested him. They sent him off to a far corner of the country. And later on, they tried to make up with him. I'm talking out the top of my hat now because even though I've read about it before, it's not in today's research. So, on January 22nd, 1984, an amazing advertisement aired during Superbowl 18. This was an ad for the Apple Macintosh, which was planned to be introduced a couple days later. Steve Jobs loved that ad, but Apple's board of directors did not. They wanted the ad agency to sell back that time back to the Super Bowl and not run that ad. They didn't do that, and the ad ran, making it out into the wild. It's pretty amazing. I've placed a link to the article about this, as well as a link directly to that ad in the show notes. I think you'll find it interesting. You should definitely check this out. I have to say that when I read the article, it gave me goosebumps. And when I watched the video, goosebumps and tears. So check it out. Big stuff for free thinkers. Links in the show notes. On January 22nd, 1998, Ted Kaczynski pled guilty to all federal charges against him and acknowledged his responsibility for the 17-year campaign of package bombings attributed to the Unabomber. Another interesting story of human drama. On January 22, 2003, the U.S. Census Bureau released detailed statistics derived from the 2000 census showing that the Hispanic population of the United States had increased by 4.7%, officially making Hispanics the largest minority group in the country. And that's all I have for you today. As always, links to my research are in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section and share this video around to others. While you're here, check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Probably cut all that out. That'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. No. Oh, that little birdie. I think I have birdies nesting in my shrubs out front. And that's not the way that goes. Okay, let's try that again. The first president to travel. I don't know how all that's going to go together, or if it's even going to make it to the video. We'll just see. Changing it up.